This conference will now be recorded.
I think that there may be a different approach to that. And if they, what's that?
How do you justify it?
Well, to say like, you can't have what she does down there. It's dirt yard, you have to have so much grass, you have to have so much whatever. And then, yeah, you can have goats there. You can have goats, like, I've seen some of those little baby goats, they're super cute.
Yeah, but I think they're loud.
That's the thing, I'd rather have a
Pig that doesn't make noise.
Yeah, I mean, I thought.
There's dogs in my neighborhood that are. I mean, did she something? Can't wait for that.
That's good.
Oh, that one?
And then we're friends.
I know, that's like, we have the ones behind us that both of them were out today and they can't see each other, so they just bark at each other. Fine. Day.
In those new houses.
Is it Tana's property?
And I, you know, she's.
Tana.
Tori. And then that guy, Chris, too.
Chris, he has 2 dogs.
Yeah, the guy who drives the premium air or whatever.
Yeah, Chris.
And he, it's not bad unless he like goes out and.
Oh, I got Julie and her husband with the dog. Yeah, they're still.
To do my Dodge.
And the way they made that
Last
fence
time
and
was
everything.
$127. Now it's 178.
I did that.
I'm gonna see Dennis
Oh,
raising it $50. As the oil was the same price. The filter was used to be 6, now it's 16.
Everywhere you go is screwed. It's a screw job all the way.
And then I talked to that girl, look at me, Lou, and she said,
Well, no, it's not a big thing. Well, I mean, it is right now, but it is. Yeah, but and it is, it is.
Did you have that 10 minutes consecutive on recording? And that's what the cop told me when he came, like your dog's barking, like.
I can't say,
He's like, and I sat.
thanks.
Yeah, I was like, that's
No
pretty good.
doubt.
Thank you.
Here's everything you said.
At night, it's any night, any nuisance.
After 10 or 11.
11 to 6, 11 to 7.
Whatever, but after,
No.
it's at night.
It's at night, it's any nuisance bar.
The 10 minutes is the whenever?
No, 10 minutes during the day. At night, it's any nuisance bar.
Came, Dave, told me he had a dog in my neighborhood. Check dog days. Done. Oh, I'm sure. I've been still busy, I know. I don't think it's gonna slow down.
Mm-mm.
It's crazy. So I've been inflated because I would walk Josephine to school every morning, and now we're having her with the tutor out of the old financial center. I cannot believe the traffic.
And we gotta watch, we're always the last ones to get hit, but there's schools starting to shut down now because people are getting cases. You watch the bigger spots. So I see Salt Lake a lot. They've shut 3 or 4 of their schools down just within the last week, and gonna take one and then it's just gonna break loose.
Is that what they're planning, Steve, if they get one shut?
I hope they don't have to shut down. That means there's no cases, but
If you want to know what the school's plan is, it's on their website. It's
That's what I thought.
school, they have a summary and then
Published.
it's, I forget what the number of the school board policy is, but it's listed on their website. They have plans for like if one kid, just tests positive or if a group tests positive, they have different ways to close down, different groups and, do the contact tracing and everything. So they, and they're being real strict about, like there's no high school kids that are allowed on the elementary side. They all have to go outside to like come to the cafeteria and, You know, so they're just not letting them wander around like they used to do, and they're controlling the flow as best as they can in the school.
Big guy, Cory.
Good stuff.
I mean, where are you guys at?
We are on the drywall portion, like 2 more weeks. And it's bringing the rest of my crew up
Hammer out.
to expedite. That was the agreement. Other than that, he doesn't want to give me any extra money.
They give you, do you have a time frame that you're held to get it done?
That depends unless I call them out on their time frame that they didn't follow through on the first place. So, they were only 6 months late. Theoretically not late at all.
So just the amount of time it takes you, you're paying people. Is where, is that where it starts adding up?
Yeah, it depends on how many people I have. Crew, he wants us to continue through until we're complete with this project, but we've had so many delays that it just extends the thing out, and we have to go and work on other projects that we committed to a year ago.
Is that how far backed up you are? Or more? Wow. That's a good problem to have though, right?
Pretty awesome.
Better than not working at all, so.
They're just building stuff anywhere and everywhere they can.
Yeah.
Working at a place that's a lot of ranches. You planning on getting here in the winter?
Yeah.
I know some of those lots are beautiful. I'm like, okay, you can get there from like June 15th to September.
Unless you're gonna snowmobile.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, because they can't even plow the road, because it's a county designated that you're not supposed to plow it. Even if
I
you
don't know
want to
if
plow it,
everybody
you
doing
can't.
stuff right now is looking at all.
What's that?
I don't know if everybody doing stuff right now is looking at all the factors.
No, there was a new family at the school that has a house up there, and they're like, oh, we'll just get a 4-wheel drive and it'll be fine. Where you guys from? Oh, out on the East Coast. I'm like, okay, you really don't have any idea, do you, what you're getting into?
No, and technically they're not supposed to drive on it. It's a county ordinance.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to drive
It's
on it.
like, you guys want to get some.
So they have a road that they're not supposed to drive on.
Yeah.
From certain dates to certain
much
dates,
fun would that
it's a seasonal road only. and
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You sled.
You can
Sled
snowmobile
dogs,
on
You
it,
can
so-
snowmobile on it, but you can't, you're not supposed to drive on it.
And they're still in denial. I mean, even Casey Clausen was showing pictures, like of his house, you know, in the winter, the roads up there. That's a plowable road, and, you know, he's just like, good luck, guys.
Well, even some years ago, one of the gals that I worked with that works up, lives up North Federal Creek, they came home from Hawaii and had to buy a snowmobile to get into their house.
My parents are stuck once or twice in winter. They live at the back of BC Ranches. It drifts. They're stuck once or twice. They can't.
That's what I'm saying up there, like, even if you could plow it, it's just gonna blow in.
It'll drift in 4 hours, some days 2.
So they would ticket them if they tried to plow their own stuff. That's very interesting. I
There's a
get to
couple
see,
roads like that, like Cliff and Wade Lake, that road, that one is one like that. There's
There's
several
actually
of
quite a
them
few of them. that are-
across the county, yeah.
So they're shut down, right? Basically, so they're shut down in the winter. Is the revenue that way? Can you drive across that in the winter?
If it's open, you could drive across. I don't think that's a restricted road to plow, but, because I've driven up there in the winter and we've been up there in the winter before, in mild winters. It hasn't been bad.
That's why we need land.
Oh, yeah, that's been a long.
Yeah, I have to look at the county map to tell you which one's which.
Good choice, Ginger, thank you.
You only have 3 cats?
Really?
Wonder how many in? Mandy? Mandy.
Conrad's always have more than 3 cats. Is that true, really? 3 cats?
It is unlawful for any person, family, or household to keep, harbor, or maintain more than 3 cats over 6 months of age without obtaining a multiple animal permit.
Oh.
What's a multiple animal permit?
I have absolutely no idea. Your guess is as good as mine.
That's like, I think it's like a kennel license.
Okay, but we don't have anything that specifically says multiple animal. I've never seen anything, have you?
And who comes in and tells you they have 6 cats?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Your neighbor,
Anyone?
the neighbor who you piss off is looking for anything on you.
Right.
Going to, yep, that goes through the ordinances.
Might be a few people bringing that one.
When's the last time you ever quarantined a dog for rabies or biting? That happen often?
Pretty much any dog bite, we have to by county ordinance. Or by the health department ordinance. But generally, as long as we know who the dog belongs to, we don't pay. It's if it's a stray and nobody wants to claim it, then we are by law responsible to quarantine it and then.
You don't pick up that many dogs though, right?
I picked up 2 last week. I pick up a lot. I don't write a ticket for them. I just take them up to the vet's office because they charge them a fee.
Uh-huh.
So it's just, if they don't have a collar on and I can't figure out who they belong to, I just take them up there. They charge them for the board up there. So I don't slam them with a ticket because that, to me, that's just a double slap in the face.
Pretty much.
And with the frequent flyers, it's usually out on Facebook,
Yeah.
so fast that owners
Right.
know that the dog's out again.
Is this the copy that's got you guys'
I know,
corrections on it?
they're not crossed out.
I did not copy that, John sent it out. I can print it out, but I didn't know if they
That's so many pages.
wanted to go,
But is this the,
We didn't touch the dog ordinance. All we did was talk
no, I'm talking
about
about the
raising the
business license.
fees.
So does their water.
that's out of the current
Just the
book,
same.
that's the, out of the current.
So it's not the one that you guys corrected out?
They didn't correct any of it. The dog license?
No, the business
He's
license.
talking business
Oh.
licenses.
No, so that is just the fees for the business licenses. That is not the whole ordinance. for the business.
Okay, so the thing that you sent us with the whole,
Yes.
I got you.
Anybody left?
Online.
Nope.
So we're just hanging out, chatting. What happened?
Are you on today?
I was in and out. Running around. It
How was the birthday?
was good. I was telling John, we got her a tablet and it has been a pain to get set up. Ugh. Ugh. I had to walk away. I'm like, you guys know everything. I'm just walking away.
Yeah.
They were actually pretty good though. They weren't as bad as they have been, but I was like, yeah, I just can't do this right now.
I want her to start walking.
So when you want it to work the way you know it should and it doesn't, I don't
Very frustrating.
do well with that.
Well, she wants the neighbors too, so at night I'm gonna put it on when she goes to dinner, so I can just call her and stuff. And they ride
When they
it.
wear them.
I'm gonna put it in her backpack every morning, I think, and then charge it every night, and then she has it.
I wish I would do that feeding stuff when he was little, like pads and that, I just like always on his phone, he'll be watching TV, looking at his phone at the same time.
I still find that.
Kind of stopped growing for a little bit, but I think.
No, he's bigger, and he's filling out and. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's, oops. Not yet. Okay, which one you guys want to start with?
Cats.
Let's start with dog.
Cats. Let's charge for cats. I bet you a lot of people will get a cat tank. We're gonna just have dog tags.
Yeah. Okay.
So all we do is pick a price because all the wording and all the other stuff is right?
Well, no, so we haven't updated this in a while. I think there's a couple.
2 years ago, we updated it.
2010.
No, we had dogs and cats, we added a whole bunch of stuff with the belly baby and everything else like that.
Is that
So
where they're cleaning up?
change it to, instead of dogs at large, it was animals at large in case of like a horse or something else gets up and down. So we did update it with the holes that we
Yeah,
had.
but I think there's a couple of things, especially when we're talking about, stuff, when it says, like the nuisance dog, I think we need to come in something with, if you own or rent, that kind of thing that, or, you know, in the beginning that, I don't know, you have permission. A dog. They're-
I don't know.
Why would that be our responsibility to do that? That's the owner of the, I'm
Okay.
just,
But
I
on the
think,
nuisance part,
which, where are we looking,
so
sir?
I'm sorry, page, or 5-2-7.
Thank you.
Talks about dogs constituting a nuisance.
Okay.
I think in there, we need to have something, in there, about, you know, any person to own or keep a dog that becomes a nuisance to the community. I think that needs to be more clearly defined, that, you know, if a renter, you know,
So
if they can't find, if
You're
the
gonna
the
need a
renter,
you're gonna need a whole different section for that, because then you need the judge's stuff, because the judge, after the third offense, can order the dog out of the town.
yeah,
That's all under a totally separate section in there. That's under the penalties section. So that's-
okay, but shouldn't it be somewhere?
No, it's because the judge is the one who ultimately makes that decision, not any of us.
Okay, oh, no, I'm just saying that there needs
What
to
about
be
notifying
notifying or something like that, because basically you
a
could have,
landlord if they're?
yeah, I mean, or, I mean, we might need to take a look at, I mean, if someone's got 5 apartments, they each have 3 dogs, and it's on one lot, you know, that's 12 dogs in a really close proximity. So we might want to take a look at the number of dogs per,
Oh,
But don't we already have something on that? Hang on. a
its
second.
number is 3 dogs per household.
yeah, they're separate. They're separate places. I don't think you can number the number of dogs at an apartment complex if they're allowed. You know what I mean? They're duplexes. They're separate houses.
No, and I'm not even talking about those, I'm talking about,
So give me an example of what you're talking about. Because I'm not
So,
understanding what you're
okay.
saying.
So I guess it would be, I mean,
There was a house across the street from me that had 2 German shepherds that were aggressive, if that, and they were renters.
yeah.
So somebody did send the landlord a letter saying, hey, do you realize there's aggressive dogs living in your house?
Yeah, so, or like, there's like a 4-plex. So maybe.
And each one of them have 3 dogs.
And each one of them have 3 dogs. Like, for instance, there's, I think, on Hugel Street, I think on Madison Avenue, there's a couple of 4-plexes that are basically on one lot. You know. 'cause it
But
looks
each apartment's an individual thing.
Yeah.
I know,
don't
but it's on
And you
one,
can't,
it's
you're
one.
going against what you're trying to do.
It's still household, yeah, I don't know.
No, if you're allowed 3 per household, and you're saying if it's a complex or something, it would have to be less. You have to put that in there.
That's what I'm saying.
But is that for us to
But you're
do, or is that
denying
with
the
the,
person the right to have 3 dogs.
No.
or is that the renter's responsibility?
Here, an example that, where that would go wrong is if you had like a fourplex and 3 of the fourplexes each had 3 dogs. And then that 4th person wanted to have 1 dog or something, but you put a cap on it, now that person can't even have a dog.
Yeah, it's not totally
Yeah.
fair.
No, I don't know,
But I see what she's saying, because like, say they built a dorm over here and there's 100 people living there and each one wants to have 3 dogs, then.
Well, hopefully. They don't.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to be really specific when you say that.
Yeah.
But I
well,
just don't know
I
if
think
that's,
it's more of a landlord issue.
well, and it could be a multifamily, you could say multifamily property.
Or you could take the apartments behind the new buildings, there's 7 apartments, they could have 21 dogs.
Yeah. I mean, 20,
technically speaking, in
You know, I
the
mean,
letter of
that's
this law.
you know, so it does seem like that seems, so maybe there is a constitute for, you know, we have number of dogs per household, well, that's for single family households.
These are all
And
single family things, they're apartments, but they're still
No,
single
no,
family.
so, but as are defined, we have a single family dwelling is a 1 unit house. Those would be considered multi-family dwellings.
Like mine's a multi-family dwelling.
I don't know where you live.
It's a
So,
modular split in half, it's a duplex.
Yeah. So, or you could say up to, you know, multifamily with X number of units. So you could exclude duplexes, but, you know, multifamily units of 3 or
I
more.
can't even imagine being 6,000 or 2.
But it happens. And John's right, if there are 7 apartments or 8 what is it? It's either
There's
6.
8.
There's
It's
8.
8,
So
24.
24 dogs.
so how do you decide who gets to have a dog and who doesn't?
That would be up to the landlord.
But then again, is that, that doesn't even touch,
I think that's a totally legal. No.
I think you're dipping your toes in something that might be,
Okay, well,
civil
I just don't know how we would do it.
No,
No,
not
because
at all.
it's,
If it's a zone that they can have dogs, I think it would be a matter of, I mean, 'cause we're already limiting the number of dogs they can have without getting a kennel license, and that, those aren't always approved. And so I would think that you could do it on some kind of and maybe it's, you know, a 4-plex or more, or something like that. But if we end up with an apartment building that has, you know, that number of dogs,
Is that why apartment buildings don't let dogs in, is because the.
well, and most of the landlords around here, I mean, most of the renters around here, honestly, don't allow them because they don't want the mess, they don't want the damage, they don't want I mean, the majority of the rentals around here do not permit them. Because I probably get a phone call, I would say once a month from a landlord or a management company saying, well, they have a dog, what can you do about it?
Yeah.
Well, do you allow the dog in the lease? No. Well, then, you know, you've got to go.
civil matter.
Yeah, it's a totally civil matter, but they're just looking for advice on it. And so, I mean, in all honesty, most of the rentals don't allow
Yeah, and it might be just an issue that regulates itself, like,
Pretty much
People are-
covers it here, which it says all yards, kennels, or enclosures of any kind must be kept in a manner that will not disturb the use or enjoyment of neighboring lots due to odor or other adverse impacts.
What was that one?
That there, just above 5, that's 526 at the bottom.
Yeah, you guys added that in, I think, when the pig.
No, that was,
Was that one put in there?
no, that was in 2010.
Okay. So that was a Scott thing that he had put in there.
Then why not address the dormitory then, since we don't have any in town?
We had 400
Well,
home starts.
we're gonna have, I'm saying,
Yeah.
so why not address, why not?
I mean, the multifamily thing, I mean, this is where potentially an attorney could help.
Yeah, I think that we.
like,
The organization.
Yeah.
What's right, well,
Yeah.
yeah, because he's right, it is kind of civil rights. But I think that's a landlord, but if we put it in here, then the landlord says you can't.
well, no, that just says if we limit it for your size of your lot based on where you're at. So X
Yeah.
number.
So here's your civil rights. If you say, okay, on a quarter acre lot, you can only have one dog, but on a half acre lot, you can have two dogs. Okay, we'll just use that as an example. Now, because I'm poor and can only afford a quarter acre lot, I'm suing you because you're discriminating against me, because you are saying that because I can't afford a half acre
That's
lot,
what I think too.
it's a discrimination lawsuit.
Actually, you could do it by zone.
You could do it by
in
zone potentially,
You
but
could do it by zone and by usage and zone.
I would be very, very cautious as
Yeah,
to
you
what
get in trouble over
I
that.
mean, right now, it ain't broke. Why are we trying to fix it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It might be the type of thing that remedies, like, it regulates itself, because when you're living in an 8-plex and everybody's not gonna get 3 dogs, because everybody's gonna
You'd
be killing each other, because, your dog's too loud and pooping everywhere, and.
They just don't complain about each other.
Yeah,
Right,
maybe that would be something to ask our city attorney about.
Well, at least I think if we could ask about any person to own or keep any dog that becomes a nuisance in the community, if there's a way to bring that to something along the lines of any person to own or keep or rent property to people that own or keep.
I think the only way, maybe I'm wrong here, I think the way that you would, you wouldn't go after the renter, you'd go after the owner of the house and tell
That's
them.
what I'm saying. That's what the letter.
That's what I'm
neighbor
saying that we
wrote
should
was,
have included in here.
I hope your
That's-
homeowner's insurance covers dog bites, because if one of these dogs bite our kids.
That's what, and that's what, and that's why I think that's what I would like to include, is that it's not only the renter, but then ultimately it can come back on the landlord.
I think it should stay with the landlord to start with, because then it's their responsibility to take care of it. I don't know how,
Yeah, I think it needs to, there's gotta be a way to put property owner in there and not just any person to own or keep a dog, because then the landlord goes, well, it's not my dog.
But the landlord, he can say you can't have any dogs.
yeah, they can set the rules.
This is the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
So that's what you're looking at. It shall be unlawful for any person to own, keep, or allow another person to keep a dog that becomes a nuisance.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because there are certain instances where, like, if it's a multifamily unit and you've got barking going on at 11
That's all right.
o'clock, you might not know which unit it is.
So, yeah, I mean,
Or-
if you want to change it to that, that would be the easiest. I mean, there's a couple of words in there. That's an easy
Yeah.
thing to change that to.
Well, I think it's, things like this that, are cropping up that we would probably need to have, whatever changes we make, that whether Jim reviews it or whatever, that we'll need to have some kind of review and let him know
What we're looking at.
what we're trying to do, use John verbiage, but
I'll just send it to them and say, we want to add this language to it. Is it enforceable? And
or just to say, is this the best, is this the best
well,
route?
Yeah,
if
just
it
tell them
says,
what-
no, it's not enforceable. It will apply with, do it this way.
Okay. That's fine.
So can we ask him about how do we prevent so many dogs? in a-
Like the multifamily,
Yeah.
So
like the dorm and like.
if we're doing it under me, you need to come up with what you want it to say or how you want it to be. And I will ask him if it's enforceable.
Well, and so I think that's the issue of having that, we're not attorneys.
So here, this is the number of dogs is unlawful for any person, family, or household to keep or harbor or maintain more than 3 dogs over 6 months of age in or on any premises unless a variance is applied for.
Would you call them multifamily property?
So that-
Multifamily dwelling.
That's where we would, so,
Property or dwelling?
Dwelling. Because the property means
I know, but aren't some of them?
So now you're gonna have to go to a definition of multifamily dwelling.
Yeah. that's what I'm
Is a
saying.
duplex considered a multifamily dwelling? Is a triplex considered a multifamily dwelling? Technically, they're buying, if they buy it and they own it themselves, that's a single family dwelling, even though they're connected. So you're gonna have to come up with your definition of what a multifamily dwelling is.
Which I think we do have in our zoning, we do have multifamily dwelling.
But you're gonna have to reference that, and then that's what you're gonna have to use to do it, because you need that definition in there.
This just goes more toward needing an attorney.
So, yeah,
Telling them this is what we want, make it work.
well, let's just give John something to send to him, at least.
On what section?
So we'd have to make a change to 5-2-4. And we would have to say number of dogs. And then it would have to say number of dogs is dependent on the zoning area that you're in. And then it would be bullet pointed or whatever. Well, we would have to go to residential, low density, residential, high density, residential core, and say what you can have for each zone.
Or,
And that way, if you want to have a bunch of dogs, you can have a bunch of dogs in the industrial zone or, wherever that is.
or
As long as you get a kennel license.
Yeah.
So, or you could just do it this way, it's unlawful for any person, family, household, on a single family lot, the harbor maintain that, and then on a multiple family lot, it shall be, and then basically copy that, whatever you want it to be.
Then it will depend on the density of each zone.
Yeah, so you can do, well, you can do, unfortunately, we have a lot of non-conforming properties though, too. So that's where people have, converted their basements into apartments, their garages into apartments, and they're anti-town density. Technically, we're only supposed that they have a single family home there. So they have two properties there.
Right.
So,
That's,
Is that enforceable? Well, you're talking two dwellings on one property,
yes, two residential dwellings on one
which
property.
is illegal in our code.
So it's enforceable.
That's a zoning question. I write tickets, that's all I do. I do not interpret zoning unless I get a complaint from Art or, and where it comes in and it specifically spell out what the violation is. Then I go and write the ticket based on that, because he's my complaining witness on that.
well, some of the stuff we might have to clean up when we do the zoning,
Yeah, I think that we can.
but for now, we can still do something with this, right? Or do we just put it
So
back burner?
here's my suggestion. If you guys want to do something like that, I want to send something to Jim just to see what he has to say. Okay. So under
I can
524,
suggest- oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
under 524, it is unlawful for any person, family, or household to keep, harbor, and maintain more than 3 dogs on a single family lot.
It's gonna be hard.
Okay. But hang on a second, and then do the exact same paragraph and then change whatever you want to maintain more than however many dogs per household on a multiple family lot. We gotta start somewhere with it.
Do we want to just reduce it to 2 or? I mean,
That's up to you guys. I'm just trying to give you the language to go with it.
What if we did, instead of per household, what if we just did a number, 6 dogs on the property instead of per household, and then it's the landlord's issue, not ours. And we're not telling them who can have how many dogs.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going for is,
So a single family household then can have 6 dogs?
no, they can have 3 dogs.
Well,
Well, like,
we just need to be careful how we say it, because you just said it's all right for one spot to have 6, but another to only have 3
Yeah,
kind of
that's-
thing. That's, we just need to be careful how we word it.
Yeah, so I would just say, well, yeah, I mean, we can bust out our zoning right now, which then we would have to update this again when that gets updated, which we need to all talk about, but, you know, in zone, you could do it in, you know, zones. You know, but then that still doesn't cover, I mean, because core commercial, where that new building is, that that's how he got 8 apartments there, which is fine, or.
Where are you talking about?
The new building that's the library.
I think there's only 4 apartments.
Yeah.
So
There's
there's
like,
8, 4 down below, 4 up.
yeah, they're like studios or one bedroom.
It's actually very nice.
There's 4 1-bedrooms and 4 2-bedrooms. So,
Can you ask Jim on how would we approach it?
I want to give him some language because then it applies to, then I'm not asking him to do
Write it for us.
outside of his right. So if we give him something and he makes a suggestion, it's fine. Because that's, I want to,
But my issue is that we're not attorneys.
Okay, let's skip past that. and Let's try to get the language that he's asking for. Multi-dwelling units may have, what's the number that we're looking at?
3 dogs per unit.
No, that's not what we need to find out what are the amount of dogs that you guys are looking for the multi-dwelling setup? Is it 6? Is it 8? Is it?
Like I said, it would depend on how many, yeah.
very complicated.
So in our zoning, if we did it by, there's town residential, town density, residential. John can probably bring it up, it's right there on Title 11.
Town density,
There's town
low
density.
density, high density.
Well, it's
actually, this is.
it's town density, it's medium density, low density, and rural density. If you,
This would, that's called map.
oh,
That lists everything on the map.
yeah, yeah. So it's, yeah.
Flip. And there you go. So that's, these guys read the bottom. Or is it-
So all those agricultural districts, this is something we'll need to talk about, are outside the town limits. So,
We won't have to worry about those
yeah,
quite as
you know,
much.
even
So-
some of the rural density doesn't apply. So it would be the residential low density, medium density, town density, local commercial residential, and residential, core commercial residential. Because like, for instance, the Main Street apartments fall under that core commercial.
What about non-residential districts? Oh, it would have to be, something too.
Maybe we can just skip it. I
We would have to go basically off of what is the density per, how many people can you have living?
Well, she's already made the point that there's people that are skipped by that. So we need to,
Well, yeah, but that's something else we need to.
and that's
we need to assume
another,
That everything's working good and do it off
Yeah.
of this and then.
Yeah, I mean, you could say, like, so, town density technically is 1 unit per, or it's 8 units per acre. And then, medium density is 4 units per acre, and low density, is 2 units per acre. So it goes 1/8 of an acre, 1/4 of an acre, 1/2 an acre.
And then is there a limit to how many people can live in a spot in one house? You can't. Yeah, you can't be like, no, you have too many family members.
So it's done by dwelling units.
Okay.
So that's how it's done, by dwelling unit.
So let's just go 3, 2, 2, 1. Core is 1. The highest, or the lowest density would be 3.
sorry, we're not attacking what the issue was, is the multi-dwelling. However many people are on there, we need to deal with the actual
So-
dog spot of it.
Yeah,
If you
so
could
I
have a
think-
single family home on those lots, or they could have a multifamily home.
So that's why we need
Well,
to,
yeah,
So
so I
now
think
if
we're
you-
going back to your, like, we do paragraph A,
All over again.
and then we do, single family 3, and then we do the same paragraph, multifamily.
Properties.
Multifamily dwelling unit would be my choice. of
Family
wording.
dwelling. multifamily dwelling units may have, and then we need to know how many dogs that you guys are looking for on that lot, regardless of the size of the lot there. That way we're taking care of this specific thing. The zoning thing is a whole nother thing that we're gonna have to attack and do.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of how. Yeah, you extrapolate the number of dogs, per.
Well, your ordinance says 3.
But if you've got 8 units on that section, do we want to have 24 dogs? And I think it's overall, we don't want to have 24 potential dogs on that lot. So how many dogs are we looking at?
Would be okay.
Let's say
Just
with,
do anything over 4 units, like a fourplex or anything over 4.
You know,
No
that
dogs.
dog.
No dogs.
but that would be the landlord's responsibility at that point. I don't think we don't have the right to do that, do
Like
we?
if a huge apartment complex came in, set up,
But is that I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think that's for us. I can't tell you how many dogs you can
and
have.
other people, they can only have 1 or 2 if they live in a triplex.
I agree with you, but that's not what's on the floor right now. I'm working with what's on the floor.
I think if you go over fourplexes, anything over a fourplex, like Main Street, you can't have dogs. If they have dogs there,
I agree.
I think that's up to the land,
but
I don't want to be that restricted.
Can we look
I
at
would-
Bozeman's? How hard would it be to look at this in Bozeman's? Because there's got to be a cap. If you have over 4 apartments, 5 apartments, you can't.
Well, I think that is, I would rather use the lot size. Personally, because then if the Main Street apartment says, we say, okay, Main Street apartments, you're allowed 6 dogs, they can allow one person to have 3 dogs and then other units to have 1 dog each. And then they could make that determination for themselves, as opposed to just saying, hey, you can't have any dogs within your apartment complex.
So wouldn't just the multifamily dwelling units may have, and regardless of it, you just put the cap of how many dogs it is?
Do you want to do it
By law.
What if we just say
of
you
what?
can only have 1 dog, but you can apply to have more?
So they would come in and get a variance or,
No, I think that's gonna be too hard to administer. I think maybe we
They're not
can do
gonna
it like,
come in
we
and
can
do
say,
it.
okay, single family, you can have 3 dogs. Duplex, you can have 5 dogs. Triplex, you can have 6 dogs. And then multifamily units, 4 or more, you're limited to
can we
8
say,
dogs.
It'd be easier to ask the landlord what he wants.
wait a
He's the
second,
one in charge.
I agree with that, but could we put multifamily dwelling units may only have 1 dog without a variance, and then make any multifamily people come in for a variance to get it from us, and then you restrict them to 1 dog per multi-dwelling,
apartment or
yeah.
That's not fair, because there's a lot of people that already have to administer.
I know, but I'm
How do you
just,
enforce this and-
You gotta
Yeah,
come get a
grandfather
license these days,
in.
though, yeah.
This would be going forward. I mean, people.
because people would be grandfathered in, I would assume.
Well, that's where,
Would that be a way to do that?
I mean, I guess you could, it might be a lot administratively, that's why I was thinking that if we let landowners know, like, single family, you're allowed 3. I think
Which
it
we
might
have.
be- Might be easier, and then duplexes, they're allowed up to 5 or 4 dogs.
So maybe,
Whatever number we come up with, and then triplexes are number this dogs, and then fourplexes and more are limited to,
1 each.
yeah.
Or
You can't
not
do
even,
one each,
not
because
even
that
1
would be
each.
like
I would say
32
8.
dogs.
so it's probably gonna be easier, honestly, to make a new paragraph, I would think.
You seen anything in there, John?
So it's unlawful for, this is Bozeman's, for any person, group of persons in the same dwelling or family to keep, harbor, maintain, or knowingly permit within the city more than two each of cats or dogs over 6 months of age. So basically dwelling unit would be each apartment. So Bozeman doesn't even cover it.
But they do say, family, harbor, maintain, or like you said, allow, but they use knowingly permit. Instead of your allowable phrase in there.
Yeah.
And they must not be having that too much of a problem with, so many people wanting that many dogs.
Or do they even check like?
Yeah, no, they don't.
Well, they have 3 animal control officers up there that are extremely busy.
Busy, but is anybody checking to see who's licensed and unlicensed? Probably not. Because all their water meters are registered. Go.
Hey, I use all the resources I have at my disposal.
Multifamily dwelling units.
I think it's just general knowledge, most apartment people with that, they go place to have pets.
And we don't have a problem with it. So it's just something that if it becomes a problem, we need to look at it. Honestly, God, I mean, we really don't have an issue with that right now. I agree with the,
Knowingly permit. or
yeah,
whatever.
I definitely agree with putting that in there, the knowingly, there it is. To knowingly permit, putting that in there for the dogs constituting an issue. I got no problem.
I think that's fine, but then we could also use the knowingly permit. Because we just said only, then use the knowingly permit again in paragraph A. It is unlawful for any person to own, keep, or harbor, or knowingly permit. So it would be in 2 spots.
Maybe we could put something in there where it says like, if any one property gets more than 8 dogs, then they have to come in and get a special permit, even if it's not, 8 dogs in one house.
But it's still a property, because those triplexes are a property, right?
That's why,
Yeah, if you get over a certain amount of
No
dogs
property
per
is to exceed.
property, no property should exceed, yeah, that's a good.
multifamily dwelling units may not exceed
Or any, well, RD, it says any, but.
We do already have it.
may not
They have.
exceed
Yes.
8 dogs at any one time.
It would be up to the people living there. It would be up to them.
Per lot.
I know some lots are bigger, but.
Dwelling.
No, I guess.
I'm writing it down here, so
I would say, yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, multifamily dwelling units may not.
No, multifamily properties.
well, I think you would say multifamily dwelling units are allowed X number per lot.
Property.
May not,
Property.
I've got multi-family dwelling units may not exceed 8 dogs at any one time.
I would say.
8
Property.
dogs per what? Per house, per unit? We need to
We
specify that.
need a
Property.
per town lot.
Maybe for tax ID, I don't know.
Multi-family dwelling units.
Well, no, because people combine multiple lots in the one tax bill if they own them, so I don't think that would be a good way to go with that.
Multi-family dwelling units. How about
You get all this.
multi-family-
Dwelling unit may not exceed
Sorry. What are we talking
X
about?
number of dogs per
Yes.
town lot.
Thank you. I was having a hard time
I
finding.
don't like the lot, I don't like, because, okay, so what if they combine 3 lots to put these on there? So now we have 24 dogs potentially because they have 3 different lots with the whole unit on 3 different lots?
Can I use what you say? You said there isn't a problem, so why does it matter if we put the verbiage in? You say there's not a problem, so it's just, is it per town lot or
What are
per
you saying?
town
So
parcel?
they relinquish their lot lines? I guess I'm confused.
No, so if you literally took and built it across 3 lot lines, because it's the same, it's a continuous owner. So you're building it on 3 lots, but you're building an 8, let's just say an 8-plex, but it's across 3 lots.
I don't think they allow that.
It's the same owner, you can do it.
Yeah.
So, but
Not
you see what I'm saying? If we're gonna put the language in there, let's make it so it fits no matter what the circumstance is.
Right.
So what would you?
That's what I'm trying to come up with. You guys keep interrupting me. Give me a second. Per continuous lot? That's the best one I've got so far.
I think the lot will cover it because
Someone might
if you did do that, then
You're good.
it would become one lot.
They would become one, technically.
And then they would have to pay for all this.
But then we're getting, so potentially, we're getting the semantics into a lawsuit where you got 2 lawyers that are gonna pay a bunch of frickin' money to argue semantics that, oh, it's 3 lots, no, it's 1 lot, no. And then a judge has to make that decision. We're getting into that over a frickin' dog bullshit, pardon me, but
Then we can add the stipulation that if you want more dogs, you can apply. to
Well, they
have
can't
one.
apply for a kennel license.
So then.
I think maybe just,
We're not allowing you to do it, we're just making you go through more procedures to get there.
I think maybe just leaving the knowingly permit for now.
Okay.
yeah.
Be good. And
I
then-
will see what I can pry out of Jim, just kind of, I'll just talk to him, see what he wants to say with it, but.
To get ahead of
Yeah,
departments
just to
and-
have it,
Yeah.
so if it becomes a
Why
problem.
don't we just stick with that? Because that puts onus on the landlord to begin with.
Which is probably that's the most, the quickest way to get it taken care of most generally.
Yeah.
Because some of the renters are a little, so.
And why don't we give John that statement or whatever you just wrote up?
Write it down.
Okay.
You can ask him if he,
I'll just say, hey, we're looking at something like this in case this happens, what do you think is enforceable? Because that's how I approach my questions with him, so, because he ultimately has to be the person who sits in court and charges them with it. And then honestly, I don't have any other issues with anything else in here. We changed that, the stuff to fit the other animals and everything, and the fees are set by resolution. So that's already set in here, so.
But where, can I bring it up? Okay, so we have a fee in here, any person failing to obtain a license by January 31st, or within 30 days of the date that the dog is acquired or reaches 15 days shall be seen delinquent. A delinquency of $5 per month shall be assessed.
so where is it say how much the dog license is?
It's set by resolution, so it's not in here. It says in here that it's set by resolution, so therefore, you guys make the resolution, it goes in as a resolution, and that's what set the fees. So it's
What are
not
the-
in the
I know, okay, but all these other fees, do we want to look at doing those? I mean,
$5 late fee's good.
per month, or we can.
2% inflation per year. When was the last time we did this?
And then a duplicate license, it probably costs them more than $2 for Ginger or Susie, their time plus the tag, that should be, you need a replacement, that should be
Why do
higher.
you need because, taller?
So what are you thinking? What do you think, fair instead of 2, 10?
Where are you, Lisa, which one?
Jay?
J.
J.
Page 2.
Is everyone good with 10?
Yeah.
So just let me, the replacement tags, we have to order those in lots of 200. We don't use all of them, and so, I mean, it's really not skin of our back, because we have to order a fixed amount. It's not like we're ordering extra ones of them.
I know, Susie and Ginger's time, did we have a budget shortfall or?
How often do you even do replacement?
5 is fine. I think nobody's gonna.
Probably less than 5 a year.
So $10 isn't that big.
Charge it.
Yeah, $10 isn't that big of a deal then, I don't think.
No, well, then, if the replacement's gonna be 10.
Late fees should be more.
Yeah.
Yeah, is everybody late on this? Do you get a lot of late fees, Ginger? We got it. remember.
John?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't fill them up when they come in for the dog licenses.
But letter wise.
Oh, letter wise?
Do you do late fees for late fees letters? Or the
I just do the late letters. My job is compliance, and if I get compliance and get them to come in and sign it, I don't really care. So that's, it's not my job, it's not my job to charge them, but
But yeah, we do have,
How many late letters do you send out?
I don't know, this last time it was 32, I think.
Does anyone exceed the 1 month?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
So $12.50.
So maybe we should go $5 after the first month. and then-
$10.
or- Yeah, let's go up to
$10
$10.
per month?
That might go, that might. make-
on you want to go to $10?
There,
And you're at 5 per duplicate license, or was that 10?
but that was 10.
Duplicate, you went 10?
Yeah.
Okay. 10 per month on late?
And should those come out there since M says that they'll be from time to time set by resolutions? So do we just need to just say a delinquency fee
Well,
shall be charged to be assessed in addition to the application fee?
but it's talking the license fees, and that's like the $10 for a spayed female.
Oh, okay, but
Or-
these fees are actually, so should we say these fees are set by resolution too?
It probably wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, so why don't we do that? So, however that would be worded.
That's easy, so just change it. That's fine.
Yeah, delinquency fee shall be charged, or per month shall be assessed in addition to application licenses. And then we can say license fees and delinquent and duplicate fees shall be established by time to time.
I would just get rid of the dollar amount out of like paragraph I.
Yeah,
Delinquency fee set by resolution shall be assessed in addition to the application license.
yeah,
fee.
exactly. But then when we get down to M, and it just says license fees, but do delinquencies and that all on,
Why don't you just do all fees? All fees in this section.
all license fees. All
Yep.
license fees.
All license.
Get rid of license, all
All
fees.
fees.
All fees, yeah,
Aha,
because a delinquency fee isn't a license fee technically, so it's a penalty.
okay.
Because then you're gonna want to look at 5 to 10, and because there's amounts there also, like John was talking. Like if there's
5
an
to 10.
impoundment,
5 to 10.
et cetera, et cetera.
And then is there for, okay, that,
So these ones need to be set by
I
resolution
don't
too.
think these seem too crazy, except for the licensed impounding, but you don't charge impounding.
I have officer discretion whether I do it. They charge a whole lot more. They charge you $75 a day for board up there. If we bring a
So
dog
if
in.
you bring it, it's even 2 hours and $75. That's what it should be.
So I am not writing them a ticket and on top of them charging them for me dropping the dog out up there.
I know, but that's your time.
Are you still charging the $125?
And it's also called officer discretion and it's a double slap in the face for doing, in my opinion, slap somebody in the face twice because I'm taking their dog out there and they do it. I don't think so.
That's a big impound fee, 125 for transporting it.
That's because we have to go to Bozeman.
Oh.
So it's not
Why would you take it to an animal shelter? What's different than white?
so they're not considered a shelter, they're a vet.
Yeah, that's for like a stray that no one claims.
Yeah, so if I have to, or if it's a
So
quarantine.
did they hold it for a couple days and then they're like, nobody's picking this dog up, come take it?
And then, yeah,
But that never has happened.
they'll always say, well, I have paperwork that I have to turn over to them and say, just stray, we couldn't find the owner, and then they can get it out for adoption and everything. They do a great job.
Okay, this section is good.
So if you pick a dog up a few times though, do you charge?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And the other rule is if I have to chase your dog to pick up your dog, you're always getting a ticket.
Okay, so do these need to be out
So
of
are
the
they-
ordinance then? Take these out. What are these fees? Are these,
I don't know, I was just talking, you were moving fees into a resolution.
yeah,
And my question is, do you want to do the same with this section?
I think so, yes. So do we add letter D and just say,
All fees subject.
yeah, so if we're transporting a dog to the animal shelter, a fee shall be assessed. Or for impounding any unlicensed dog, a fee shall be assessed, and then,
So, and just to give you a heads up, the impounding a licensed dog, that comes under the ordinance bond schedule, which you guys approved a long time ago, which is what the judge goes off of as charging fines. And that goes to with what I have up on the screen here. The first offense, not less than $25 or not more than $100. So this is part of the penalty section that the judge imposes. So the judge, you can come in and if the judge doesn't like the way you're dressed, you piss him off, he can charge you $100 for the unlicensed dog rather than $50. It's all in the judge's discretion. So even if I.
Can we change that part of it?
What's that?
Can we change that part?
Yeah.
That seems like that's where the meat or the hammer will come in a little bit more than this.
What do you, yeah,
Yeah, I'd have to look and see because there's a specific way you have to change the ordinance bond schedule that's set.
yeah, because I don't remember voting on this, so.
That was a long time, it was 20,
so we said
Oh,
fees
nine.
is kind of like what you minimums, the ones on this page versus.
So I'm confused.
no, so, it's okay, so you're saying impounding an unlicensed dog is $50.
Yeah.
I put $50 on the ticket, the judge has the discretion according to the ordinance to go $25 to $100 on that fee.
Depending on if it's a shit show. Yeah.
So that's the judge's discretion, what he wants to do.
Okay, so do we even need to have fees here listed?
That's what I'm saying, if it's up to him, why do we even have?
Because if I transport a dog and we find out who they are or whatever, we can, the city attorney requests restitution from the person for paying, to pay that. The judge orders restitution, we get paid back the cost of gas, my time,
Okay.
all of that. So
Okay, so how do we set these by going back to where they're set by resolution? How would that be?
just change it. For impounding an unlicensed dog, the fee shall be set by resolution. For impounding an unlicensed dog, first offense, second offense, third offense will be set by resolution.
Can
The
we,
transporting a dog to an animal shelter, the fee will be set by resolution.
can we just say there will be a fee and then in D, say fees shall be set by resolution?
But what will there be a fee for?
Well, no, for impounding an unlicensed dog, A, there shall be a fee. And then for impounding a licensed dog, there shall be a fee for first offense,
Second one.
for second offense and and for third offense, and then.
So there shall be a fee, and why don't you just put set by resolution, why make another paragraph, why not just put it, get rid of the dollar amount, and say set by resolution?
I think we
Well,
can get rid of all.
I guess it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, because you either say set by resolution 5 times, or you just write fee.
I think we should get rid of A, B, and C because in the paragraph before it says the owner has to pay any costs of impounding and maintenance of the dogs, but then it says A, B, and C, which limits us to just those 3 things. What if there's more costs?
No, difference, shall pay the cost of impounding. This isn't for impounding, this is your fines. So for impounding, that would be paid to Venice Vet Hospital.
Oh,
So that's a totally different fee, because they can't get their animal back until they pay the fees there.
okay.
Total, two different things. A, B, and C are fines. The paragraph is just telling you that you've got to also pay the fee to the impound. To where-
Yeah, so we can just say fee set by resolution, set by resolution, set by resolution, all that. For every fee that's in there.
Whatever the best wording is there, you should have it set by resolution. Whether it's to have a D, like we had letter M, all fees shall be established from time to time by the resolution of the commission, or however, maybe Jim will take a look at that.
Okay. Any other fees? Oh, here's a $50.
Kennel fee,
Yeah, that's a lot.
wow. Should just say set by resolution. or
That one should say, yeah, license, yeah.
fee will be.
A fee must accompany the kennel license and then say the fee shall be set by resolution. I think that one should be. Yeah. No, I'm serious.
But if you're doing, so if you're doing a kennel license, they also have to have a business license too, so keep that in mind too. So you're getting-
Yeah, that's, I have to carry a professional license and a business license. So I think there's lots of things like that, so.
So what are you thinking, kennel license?
So we have to do all of them.
We're gonna change that one to set by resolution as well.
And then whatever, and then she'll have to write the resolution. So
But if I'm formulating a draft of the resolution, they need to know it.
Don't we have to do them all though?
Yeah. So
Yeah, so that's what we just named them all.
Yeah,
Or do we want to go, do we want
we
to?
gotta do.
They updated these in 2010, going back to 52-10 for impounding. And then the impounding of a licensed dog. I don't think $15, it should at least start at $25.
Impounding.
Yeah, and then maybe go up to 50 for second, or well, 50 for second offense.
25, 50, 75.
25, 50, no,
Sorry, I
25,
got-
50, 100.
That's good, yeah.
25, 50, 100?
Yes.
100.
So which one are we on?
B of 5 to 10,
Okay.
25, 50.
And
Are
then
you
if
gonna leave
he's,
the-
and then if someone, if we have to transport a dog.
I think that should go up too.
Yeah, that should be $200,
See?
$250.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you take his time, fuel and everything else, I mean, it adds up.
Did impounding stay at 50?
Yeah, what about the?
Because they're
Oh.
paying 70 out there, 50, that's.
So that's only if they, and it's a maximum to 100 there, so that, I think that is fine.
Okay.
I don't know, what do you think?
I have it.
So what I think C needs to.
200 on that one?
I think 250, what do you, or what did you write down?
I wrote, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, or
I heard 200,
That's what,
but that, you guys tell me.
That sounds good.
200 is good. That should cover, his trip over to Bozeman and back.
well, if he stops for lunch, we gotta count that.
And then
maybe it needs to
penalty
be
was
250. Where are you
200.
eating lunch at?
Costco,
Generally try not to,
Costco.
because you generally try not
Your
to. eat
$2
in the
pizza?
farm.
$2 pizza at Costco? Or $1.50 hot
That's
dog?
three.
$1.50 for the
Yeah.
dog and a soda, and a refill.
Oh my God. You and my parents should hang out.
I don't have anything on kennel yet. We're gonna discuss that
Did
more.
we change
That was gonna be 200,
Did we change the rate?
We did change the late fees.
To 10, right?
Yeah.
10 and 10.
I'm trying to live, can I read through quarantine for what do we have, is fighting is under nuisance or?
Yeah, that's a vicious dog under nuisance.
Yeah, and that also falls, there's also state statutes that fall under those too.
Are there for
Yes.
fights?
Yes,
Okay.
because there's a whole section of what we are required to do if we deal with a dog bite. We have to notify public health, we have to notify the closest hospital, they're supposed to get checked out, they're supposed to get antibiotics, yeah, and we have to do a whole civil form because it's part of the statute where they're, the persons who own the dog has to pay restitution. Yeah, it's about 7 pages that we have to fill out.
That didn't happen when Tom Scully stopped at me.
Did you turn it in?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Oh, he had his rabies shot, you're fine.
So we can move on to
Okay.
the actual fees for the dog.
Okay.
no,
Is there
I
a
think-
consensus on the 200 for kennel?
Yep, 200 for kennel.
That was on,
The
Very
last
last
page.
page.
5-2-14, number 5.
Is that high? That seems high to me.
Do you want that many dogs?
Well, Shopper had a ton of dogs over here.
Yeah.
And
That barked all the time.
a lot of them were for tracking mountain lions, et cetera,
Making money.
Huh?
Making money.
making money.
But is
And they
everybody,
were noisy as hell too.
Yeah, well, and I think like if you're
But I
having
don't know if he
many
ever
dogs,
got
you need
charged.
breeding dogs.
The
Okay.
full amount for.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think 200 is fair. And that has to be renewed every year.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
What
so
about cat licenses?
No.
Way more.
I mean, you do have to have something there, I mean, if the cat does fight somebody, I mean, like, I mean, you have to have it there just because,
Vicious cats,
because they're,
Cats matter too.
cats like matter. You cannot trap them and drop them at them.
let's not start with that, Greg.
I
Okay.
love my drama. I love being in the ghetto.
Moving on.
okay.
So with no cat fees, okay.
I'll give you $20 a year for me.
Then we're moving to just the fee of the dog. Just for the
Oh, yeah.
license itself.
It's
We have to
10
set that
now.
By resolution.
Yeah, do
And
you
it's
have,
20 for unneutered, right?
Yep, 10.
So 10 and 20. Where do we want to go with those?
I think the basic should be, I would be willing to pay
$25.
$25
I
per
think
everybody.
yeah.
When were they last changed?
Three-fourths is still at 10 and 20, I asked. My friend works for them.
Yeah, but when was the last time they updated that?
He was like, this makes sense. I wonder why we didn't.
I can't remember these ever being increased since I've been here. No, wait a minute, no, I take that back.
They were 5 and went to 10.
They, exactly, yes.
In
And then they
2010.
went to 10 and,
I
it
took
was
in-
5 and 10, and then went to 10 and 20.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago.
I would say
Anyone
a
else?
long time. No, please. 25 and 50. Brown neuter,
Yeah, I'd pay that for sure.
How much is, what'd you say?
25 and 50.
So
Or 25, 45?
But I don't think a lot of dog owners have much to worry about when you see how much they're paying for a dog.
Yeah.
That's a
what-
lot.
Yeah.
I know.
Pay that much
There's
money
a lot of
to-
degenerates in this game.
every month. Shots and all that stuff. People love their dogs and they pay lots of money for them. Thousands of dollars to get.
So we're gonna go up 1.5 times is what you're saying? That's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah.
25 and 45 or 25 and 50?
What pays me when,
That's not
This
okay.
is just the fees that aren't listed, just the dog license fees. I like 45, but I don't care.
You guys gotta come up with something.
I like 25 and 50. I don't mind.
Do you have a lot of neutered and spayed tags, licenses?
What do you think?
I think that's perfect.
Do people
John?
really tell the truth?
Well, yes, because when the
They have
rabies
to
comes
bring
in,
their
it
rabies
says.
certificate
Oh, it
in.
says
So it does
what
say what it
is.
is, and that's from a vet. So yes, it does say what it is.
Says what?
Whether it's fixed or whether it's altered or not. So when the rabies certificate comes in, it'll say.
That's right, because they had to look at Tyson about my old dog. Yeah.
So 25 and 50 in ginger.
25, 50 or
I-
less?
I don't care.
Okay. Well, no, just tell them, let everyone there can
I've
see.
got 25 and 50 right
Okay, perfect.
now, but I was waiting until they settled.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, moving on.
Okay, anything else?
Might encourage people to
Spay and neuter.
spay and neuter.
And if you want your dog in fact, you'll pay $50 for that.
Why do you want that? I mean, you're freedom, right?
Guys don't like to have.
We
their
can offer a
children's nuts
discount
cut
if your dog doesn't bark.
What?
out. Just
So we can offer a discount if your dog doesn't bark.
I
No.
don't want my dog to bark.
Yeah, I like it. I'm
I
not.
want to know when somebody's showing up at my house.
When it's appropriate. And now that he's deaf, nothing's appropriate.
Okay, anything else on dogs and cats?
Moving on.
Hang on a second. This- Why we got it, we might as well do it. Yep.
It does say for a completed adjacent neighbor notification form must be submitted by the applicant. Can we find, is it just adjacent is just?
Adjacent is defined.
Last
I
page,
just
A.
have to remember where
Or
it's
four.
defined.
I
last
mean,
page
that
number
is
4.
across the street too.
Correct. It is defined, it is across the street, kitty corner, it is
Okay.
defined, and I
Okay.
believe it's under, I don't remember where it is.
Okay, I just want to make sure that that's.
It is defined,
Okay.
yes, and any of the kennel
Oh,
licenses
if you're
that come
gonna
in,
do, oh, okay.
they have to provide proof that they. that they
You're gonna
did-
have a kennel license that just says
Oh.
adjacent neighbor, and I just wanted to know what adjacent neighbor was it defined as?
Like everybody that touches your property.
I mean, because really, if
Including
you,
across the street though, too.
Right.
but here's the thing, I almost think it maybe should be somewhat of a distance too.
Oh, here it is. Each resident adjacent, including those across the public right of way.
So across an alley, across the street,
Correct.
and then next to you on either
Yeah,
side.
so anything that even comes close to touching your
So is
property.
this posted like a variance or they have to actually talk to the people?
They have to send them a notice. It's same with the variance, it's exactly the same as the variance. They have to send them a notice that says that, this is what it is, this is what it is, this is.
Okay,
how
yeah,
you do
let's
it.
see, a completed just notification form. Okay, so here, going back to what is our neighbor notification form?
I have it on the office computer,
And it goes out with the kennel license application,
yes.
and
It gets
the
mailed.
neighbors have to
They have to sign
sign it.
Yes.
Okay, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I have the form on my computer.
Okay.
We
But is
only
that-
do, I think, 4 or 5 of them a year, so it's very simple. You only have to do that once.
Is there anything on the form that you would like updated?
No, because I designed the form, because it's not specific.
Gotcha.
So I make sure that we have all the loopholes filled in there, just
Okay.
as adjacent forms, so I can make sure that if I can change it every year if
that's
you're
cool.
finding.
Okay, just want to make sure that we're covering all of our bases while we're updating it. I don't want to update it and then have, oh, we should have done that.
Like I said, I don't have any concerns over what we have here, because it's working well with what we have.
Okay, except for in the cats, can we also put in for 5-2-11? Again, in A, adding that knowingly permit. So for any person to own, keep, or knowingly permit,
Sure.
and then also A, and then also B. It is unlawful for any person, family, or household to keep, harbor, or maintain, or knowingly permit.
That covers the landlord type situation.
Exactly. That's where.
Sure.
Okay.
There you go.
House we just sold it.
I'm not even having
They're cute until you.
They keep mice away,
I like my barn cats.
yeah.
I like wearing cats. I don't like.
Our cat Harriet for 15 years.
I like cats way more than mice, and pack rats, and
Yeah.
whatever else.
Just about anything else that would come into your yard.
Okay,
So are we good with cats and dogs now?
I think so. I just wanted to get those.
Yeah, that's fine. This is where we need to do it at, so. Ginger, do you have any questions, comments, concerns before we move on?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Between John's notes and mine, I think we'll
We did.
be okay.
okay, let's go ahead and move on to our fee schedule. I think for the most part on this one,
Are we separating contractors for business license?
Okay, hold on just 1 second. Breeds are worth keeps more than 3 dogs. By the applicant. Okay, I think on a kennel license, sorry, go back to this, I apologize. But on the kennel license, this just talked about the applicant. Is there on the form, does the landlord have to sign off if they're renting?
No, but I can change it.
Do you update that? What does everyone think about that?
why would we, that is not our purview. The landlord and the tenant have that's their contract. That's not for us.
Well,
What I'll do is I will add a question on there that says, if you rent, has your landlord been notified you're applying for a kennel license, yes or no?
Okay, well, I'm just saying we have to get the consent of the neighboring property owner. Why wouldn't we get the consent of the?
Why do we have to get that? That's what I'm getting at. That's not a law.
They
That's
have
a
legal
contract
rights to that
between
property
themselves.
because they're renting it.
Yeah, that's a contract. That's a civil thing off the side. That's not us. I know.
Fair enough. I
Thank you. Well, that's why I kept asking.
Well, that's fine. Sorry.
Okay. Now on this one, do we need to, wait, I'll give everyone a second.
No, okay, tonight was designed for revenues. Was my understanding.
Yeah.
So, and the business license, I mean, if you want to rewrite, I mean,
That's the one you guys had all scratched
Yeah,
out.
where we crossed off all the stuff that doesn't
Yeah.
apply or state law has superseded
yeah.
what we already have.
Okay, that's what we sent out for.
and maybe it's something that you guys want to do the business license in, like, take a work session to go through what John and I did and see if you agree. And then maybe a second work session, if that takes too much time, you're limited to 2, John. To see what else you want changed in it, or what your ideas, but maybe the cleaning it up first and getting rid of stuff that we know
We
doesn't
don't
belong in
need
it.
more, and then stuff that we do need now that has come up.
Right.
So now we're just talking about the access fee and then,
I mean, no, well, this is you guys' meeting. I just,
Why, transient retail merchants, $12.50
that is not.
Yeah, let's just start right at 331 and we'll work our way right on through that.
So we're just gonna change all the prices, and then if we wanna work on the wording, do another day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Say
okay,
revenues.
okay, but hold on. But isn't this changing? The fees are changed in the ordinance?
No, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna say, the fees shall be set by resolution, and then we're going to, so changing the ordinance to say by resolution, then you'll adopt the resolution that will change the fees.
Oh, yeah, I get that, but so we're updating, so we'll have to have 2 public hearings
Correct.
just to get to fees will be adopted by resolution. So if we're gonna have those public hearings, we might as well, what Ginger's saying is go, if I heard you correctly.
Let's
go
do the
through-
whole business license thing.
do the whole business license thing, and instead of end up having to have 4 public hearings, by parsing it out. First
right,
updating.
I mean, we're gonna have to, we're changing verbiage in the dog and cat. So
Yeah.
that's gonna have to go back to 2 public hearings.
Yeah,
We can pull the business license together at the same time, then you can have both of those.
gotcha.
So is this even
Yeah.
worth us doing the fees at this point in time without the
I
other part?
think we need to look at just the business license thing, because I don't want to have to do the business
Look at the-
license twice.
Yeah. look at
Update the fees and then update
Get
the whole
your-
thing.
Get your
Yeah.
ordinance in line and then decide.
Yeah.
So
And I
because
think
are
we
you
can,
thinking about changing like per employee type of thing?
well, yeah, 'cause
The whole thing needs to be,
I think
A lot.
it does need to change.
If you look at what we redlined out and stuff, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't apply. There's also a lot of stuff in here that can't apply because of state law now, like the gaming and the gaming machines and everything. We can't legally charge for those. So that's all gotta go.
Yeah, so there,
But
but
the gaming bingo and
State
raffle.
charges
Yeah, we
for
can't
those,
charge that.
and
Yeah.
we
State
get
charges
fees
them,
from
we're
the
not allowed.
state.
yeah. and
But
that-
we've already gone through and kind of cut that stuff
Well,
out.
So Ginger and I have gone through and cut that out. That's what I sent to you
Oh,
guys.
okay.
yeah,
So you'll see, I sent you 2 versions.
Yeah.
One is the red line version. So if you look at it, it is the current ordinance with all the red lines through it. That stuff that can be deleted, stuff that's changed in red, all that. The second one that I sent you is everything removed that was red line. So it's what basically the ordinance would look like without all the red lines.
yeah.
And then is there new stuff added in?
There, we tweaked some stuff and changed some stuff. So yes, you'll see that in red. It's in red. I believe it's in red.
Yeah.
Writing.
There is, and I think there's also some things that we had talked about potentially adding categories, because it's still based on the number of the number of employees, except if you have a retail alcoholic beverage establishment.
Do you wanna
And
go
it's so, okay, and yeah,
through some of this tonight, or?
I think we should at least talk about it, because it's gonna be a big conversation, because I don't know, and yeah, like immediate family members are excluded from determining the number of employees.
Just because they're not always on payroll.
I mean, you don't all have it in front of you.
Yeah, so, okay,
That's my concern is, have you had time to even really look at it and understand what you were looking at?
Can we,
I'm wondering if we shouldn't, just on the businesses, rather than doing it with the amount of employees, why are we doing it by the amount of employees? You're making the people that have more employees pay more. I think we need to come up with a universal across the board.
well, I think we need to, I think it's like, well, if you have, just like.
A business license is $100.
Yeah, for instance, but instead of,
But here's the thing, like for instance, our insurance coverage is based on our payroll. It's not the number of employees, but it's how much we're paying. So it does happen. And, you know.
just because it happens doesn't mean that's the way it needs to
But
be.
But here, you know, but to look at it like, you know, generally, not always, but if you only have one employee, you're making, you
Less
know,
money.
less money than someone that has, you know, 20 employees or 5 employees or.
So you're basically setting a license on the success of the business. That's not right. Because your business only has one employee doesn't mean that you should pay less. It should be a universal fee across the board, is my opinion.
What does Bozeman do?
I don't believe there's stuff that's published, but, let me pull up West Yellow.
And I guess maybe that's why I was suggesting is look at what's in there. Go out and look at a couple other towns and see how they do it.
And ask them if they've been outdated, you know.
I can put it out on listserv and ask other clerks for
Yeah.
their
And I think,
business license ordinance and fees to see.
or if they're done by category, you know,
Right.
maybe it's like.
That's kind of how West Yellow.
Category.
Yeah, because, you know, like for a temporary license, what was that, $12.50? Like that,
That
you
needs
know,
to
that
go
does,
up.
yeah, that does a disservice to people who
Pay
pay
for the whole
property
year.
taxes all year long.
Right.
Hotels, motels and condos.
Like
they
we've
pay
got
for you.
the $10, the 3-month $10 license.
What if you have, what do you,
Somebody comes in on the 4th with,
Lower Man only has 8. It's $24.
So basic fee plus.
That's Bozeman, but yeah,
Also,
that's what
there's
they
a
would.
basic fee, and then
Oh, okay.
also in here, this is a good opportunity for us to take a look at short-term and long-term rentals.
Yes,
yes.
So,
yeah.
and I think that if we did it by category, and I actually talked to some,
Go down.
with some management agencies, and I think there's a way for us to govern those, with talking with the county sanitarian, as well as Park County. There are some things that we could put in this ordinance that would help us regulate those.
So here's where it is right here. So nightly rentals and long-term rentals of condominiums, house rentals, rooming houses, apartment rentals, da, 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 da. Basic fee plus $3 per unit.
But, you
So
know.
if you had a rental at
Yeah, well, I think there's a couple of things that we need to do, and I don't know where, if that would be applied here. Like if we had a category for short-term rentals,
It's a business, so I would say you can put it under here.
okay, but then just say like, okay, with to get a business license, you have to get.
You have to meet these requirements.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
see a problem with that at all.
Okay.
Well, what about the property management that have all the,
I talked to, Madison Management, I talked to Heather Hale
do
and.
they pay per property, right?
Well, we could do like that, or yeah, we could say per unit, and we could come up with a long-term unit or long-term, and because those are businesses too. And I think they should also be inspected, because what's happening is as the housing crunch come in, people get desperate, and then other people are like, oh, I can make a quick dollar here, rent out my shed.
It's happening.
Oh, it's that.
Yes, it is.
In the garage right now.
So I think we need to.
Or the storage
here, I think this is a prime opportunity for us to tackle that situation. Because we can't allow people to live in subpar housing because someone wants to make a quick dollar.
And it's happening all over town.
It's happening all over town, and then things happen, like we had that fire earlier in the year. Because people are renting out, whether it's, you know, not there, but it's just space or whatever, so
I
I
could
think.
rent a cargo trailer for probably, right?
If you had heat in it, yeah, I bet you could.
Yeah, and so I think this is a really good spot for us, and, you know, I would encourage you, I talked with because Gardner is having a tremendous issue with this. I talked with the Park County planner, and he said, you know, because, you know, we are for short-term rentals, they do fill a niche, like, you go, like, when we go to places, that's one of the first places we look, so, I'm not of I'm for regulating them, not for getting rid of them, because I think they do serve a niche, but I do think they need to be, well, by state statute, I think they're supposed to be registered with the county
Yes, they are.
sanitarian.
And code and.
And they check, oh, are you, but I think we should have for our long-term rentals too, like, are you hooked up to the city water and sewer? Do you have ingress and egress? All of those.
Yeah, because people are renting out their basements with no ingress or egress. So
And
you get a
it's-
house fire and they die in the basement, I mean, if you're looking at, you look at the whole thing, fire extinguishers in the rentals, it's required by state law, so.
Yeah.
Are there fire extinguishers in the?
And fire alarms and fire,
Yeah,
all that stuff's
exactly.
on the check sheet.
Yeah, and it's easy because we can say long-term rentals are held to the same inspection through the county, which Casey Smart said they are willing to do. So, because they want to know where they're at and they've got a backlog. They're like, do you know of some? Like,
And the big issue that we have with the VRBOs is actually getting in touch with the property owner if something happens there, and we need to get in touch with the property owner, because a lot of times it's an LLC, or something similar to that, and we can't find, and, we'll try calling VRBO or, whoever they rent it through, and they won't give us any information, so it's very difficult for us. If we have a database with those rentals and we have contact information, that would make our life a whole lot easier from a law enforcement perspective, fire perspective also.
yeah, and then from an enforcement issue, one of the recommendations from the Park County person is that when people advertise their VRBO, on the front page, it has to say, NS Montana license number, and it's right there on the front page, so then that way, our enforcement could scroll through and be like, yes, they have a license, yes, they have a license, yes, they have a license, instead of having it back somewhere and not.
And
So it makes it easier.
the program that we use for dog licensing and business licensing, it's actually a subscript of my report writing system. The guy doesn't charge us any extra to create modules. He's a really cool guy. So we could actually have him build a module for that with all the information that we want. So you do it similar to a business license. You put all the information in, it's stored in a database, you print them a license, it's got its individual number on it. It would be very simple to do.
Yeah, and I think that's where we can incorporate it in our business licensing, because that is coming, poor Gardner they're having a really hard time, because they're not incorporated, and so,
Free for all.
yeah, so
Yeah.
people in immigrant are like, we don't regulate stuff, but Gardner's like, oh, like, I forget what the percentage was, but it was a high percentage of their available housing was short-term rentals.
65 to 75%, right in
Yeah,
that range.
so last summer, their new superintendent had to live in a wall tent because they could not find a home to rent
Just out of,
or buy.
this might be a way over the top. Could we eliminate them?
I don't want to, in my,
VRBOs?
I don't think we could, we're too far behind it.
Well, even you could ban it, but I think it would be a bad thing. Like,
I think so.
I actually disagree with that because of the lack of housing
What
right now.
about
You take that
Ban them in
away,
city limits.
well, that's all.
that's all we can
Our
take in.
jurisdiction.
is
I-
city
So,
limits.
that's not a bad idea.
Well, I don't know, talking with the Park County planner when they were, because this is not only a problem here, it's across, housing is
I know,
a
so
problem across the Intermountain West. We have to, I think, regulating it and having, because then you talk about, civil rights, then someone has private property rights to do what they want with their property. So if they want to run it as, an investment, then I think we should incorporate the fees.
At least.
the fees shouldn't be these little
At least we
fees, and
can
they need to
regulate it
be
at that point.
substantial fees because they're making big
And that's-
money.
And that's just it, I find.
But with the
Don't-
lack of housing for people, why should we allow these short-term rentals? We're not really addressing that issue either, because people are living in storage sheds and tents and all other things because they can't find housing. But yet, we're gonna allow these people to come in here and make the money on that, but yet we've got citizens that can't find a house to
Well,
live
and I think that that's also something that we can address in our zoning too, is that if you are gonna have, so there's multiple different approaches and we can have someone talk about, so that in our zoning is called accessory dwelling unit. So if I want to turn my garage into, a place to rent, you have to live in either, the property owner has to live in either the primary house
Or the
or in the
garage.
rental unit, because then it helps housing become more affordable, because then, us as a family, we can say, oh, we're gonna offset our mortgage by renting this out. As opposed to if you just allow those dwelling units, accessory dwelling units, then an investor comes in here and goes, oh, I'm gonna buy that house, that house, that house, I'm gonna put a mother-in-law apartment in all of them, and I'm gonna double my, quadruple my income. So it actually helps part of the affordable housing model to have those accessory dwelling units, but only if the property owner.
But under our current standard, and this is why I even asked the question, I know it might be too far over the top, but someone could come in and buy all the houses and just rent them out as, we'll have gardener all over if we don't get.
Well, that's what I'm saying, that, this is, we could have, if you want to go down that model, you could do something where like is it Dallas, Texas, or something, like they have a thing that says, the principal, one person can't own more than X amount of properties. I mean, that's getting really.
I don't know if this, I'm not
Something called
So they create an
bullshit.
LLC, they can create.
No, but it's, yeah, I thought the same thing, but it's like, if it gets tracked back to you in any capacity.
Can you really shut them all down?
you technically, you
But
could.
here's the thing, but here's the thing.
That might be something too. I
But
just,
here's the
and I don't know
thing,
if that's
we
even the
don't have enough-
answer.
We don't have enough hotel capacity for the people that want to, so you want to talk about limiting economic development, I think that would absolutely do it, because those people who are paying those weekly rentals, they're eating in our restaurants, they are buying in our shops, they're going out on float trips.
Yeah.
And then we've also got people living in storage units because they can't afford to find a house, because that person is gonna go out, and I don't blame them for doing it, but as long as we allow them to do it, so I'm gonna charge you $1,000 a week to come and live in my house. I don't blame them for doing that, but at that same point, we're not taking care of our citizens that aren't able to get that. So we're taking and sending, and we're gonna turn into Gardner if we don't do something and limit.
We should definitely regulate.
How do we limit?
But so, and you can say it's in, it goes back to zoning, you could say, oh, you can allow it only in certain zones.
We could do it in the business license too, or if we made it that you had to get a business license to have a PRBO, then we only issue so many
Yeah.
of those licenses.
You can
Yeah, and
do
I think,
something-
yeah, I think we really need to look at that so we don't
Yeah.
become
But
Gardner, because
also
Gardner is a
affordability,
mess.
Is it an affordability of how much our employers paying? Because, based on minimum wage, if you followed inflation, minimum wage right now should be like $24 and something cents. And it's $7.25. Or
It's
whatever.
8 and change.
Sorry,
883 or something.
$8.83, but still a far cry from $24. So that plays a portion in it too.
But this town is very specific to this problem. You go
No,
outside,
well,
well, in
there's a lot-
Bozeman,
There's
Bozeman.
there's a lot of mountain towns, and we're gonna see it more and more as the prices go up in Big Sky.
Yep, they're
More and
pushing
more
them
their
down.
workforce is gonna come over here. So I agree with you that we need to regulate it, but I really disagree with eliminating that. I think it should be regulated, maybe capped at a certain number. I am open to that, but just eliminating them, it's gonna hurt businesses. Because
I
those
agree
people
with
with the.
How many do you think are in city limits versus out of city limits? Because there's a lot out of city limits. If we cut off city.
Yeah, I bet most of them are out of city limits.
There's a figure amount on, okay, so on my streets, I have 1.
Oh, yeah, Christie across the street. Or-
So Dan Green and his family have 1. And then Dan Green and then the Eatons rent out their house too. They've been there a lot themselves this summer, but they rent out theirs. So there's 2, but on Hugel Street, there's 2 right behind me, like right around me, there's at least 5.
And one way to maybe,
Do they rent them in the winter or they just?
Sometimes they do, so sometimes they don't. It just depends.
one way to help do this too is make the fees pretty hefty too. I might,
Sure,
I think,
yeah, why not head straight that direction? You know, just penalize.
yeah, because to rent out the house.
They're making so much.
They're making, so we wanted to rent the one behind us because while we were doing our kitchen renovation, and they were like, oh, well, we'll give you a deal. And it was, and I just, wow, they, you know, they get like $1,700 a week for it. I mean, it's brand new and it's really nice, but they get a lot of money.
And it can go up to 3,000 to 4,000. I know of some outside of town that are grabbing
there's
that.
some-
My brother
A
makes
week.
$3,000 a month.
Yeah.
So I think having them regulated is a good place to start. I think we would catch a lot of flack. And I
So
really don't want to.
we like set out like a map up for us to what we want, how we want to change this, or do we let these guys do it and then just review it?
My suggestion would be just go through what we already did, because what we did was on recommendations from MMIA, which was stuff that was removed because it's no longer legal in state law, like that. You keep charging the gaming machines and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. A lot of the descriptions are no longer valid, no longer fit anything. So go through, look at that, and if you want to do other changes, make notes of what else you want to add, change, or whatever.
What about doing like the categories, like what Jones has them? I think that.
Whatever you guys, I like it, I mean, I like their stuff.
I like that the applicability of it. I think we should also.
I like that a lot.
Because it makes it, like a farmer's market is not gonna,
Top there.
yeah. And
So we
so,
can use that blueprint.
yeah, I think we could use it somewhat.
So why shouldn't a farmer's market be charged the same as any other?
I mean, if it's if you're selling, $10 worth of,
That's regardless of what the
like $10
thing.
worth of vegetables.
So this is what you guys are kind of talking about. So the expositions is what it is. So each vendor that comes in for specific
Oh,
things,
that's perfect.
$25 for one that does not already hold a business license.
But like
So,
the farmer's market here, not all the vendors pay fee.
right, so you could do this two ways. You could do it just like this, or you could do it as the event shall pay X number of dollars, or each vendor shall pay $25, and then, they kind of make up, and then, so if it's gonna be cheaper for the vendor to pay it, then they can pay the
Yeah.
sponsor, or the sponsor can say, nope, you guys are all responsible for your stuff, you each have to pay one. So you could do it that way too.
I think honestly, whatever we come up with on the business licenses, I'm just gonna, let's say we're charging $100 a year for a business license, just in general. Any of these people that come in should have to pay the same amount. They should have to pay the $100 to come in and use our town to be able to do that. Anyone that comes in, and maybe if you guys want to make a farmer's market, but why, he's made the point, why should someone be able to come in over the 4th of July and pay $25 or $12 and get the benefit of our town where you,
Yeah.
our business owners
Pay
have to pay
taxes.
that and have to
And
do that. So
year-round,
these people
yeah.
should have to pay the same amount as the actual business license. So that's why I believe in the universal, whatever that might be. You put a universal and it's one fee for everything. It covers everything then.
And just to give you ideas, their business licenses are set by resolution.
Yeah.
This is just, this is their current fee schedule.
That one has always driven me crazy.
Fee schedule. Ours is, there's a little bit. So we wanted to change it from.
Yeah, I think if you
employees to
set out the
basic
way,
fee.
well, if you look at it the way John has it in the email, and if we could just, instead of, he's got it by, I think if,
I have our old one that we crossed out.
yeah.
You
and
do
if-
whatever you want with it.
Yeah, no, I just think for readability, it should be in a table. That's all. And to take a look at that and done by category.
And just please keep in mind, you guys like this, that's great, but you have to make sure that everything in here is defined. And
Exactly.
what business is what. So what classifies a restaurant? What classifies a supermarket? What classifies a single purpose business? It says such as gift shops or anything, but it's actually defined. You need to define every one of these
Yeah,
so that there is no, so you know what category it falls under. So they come in and they say, well, I'm doing this, but it doesn't meet any of these categories, so I don't have to pay a fee.
well, that's why you just have other focus ones.
Well, I think the basic business one at the very top of that one takes care of that.
And everybody pays the business fee, basic fee, but then you might add this to that.
That might be the way to do it too. You have the basic fee and then the alcohol obviously already gets charged anyway.
I mean, that's what,
Yeah, but
It's
look
done now.
at, look at what their
Yeah.
alcohol is
the
compared to ours.
$25 and then, what, 150?
25, is that 25?
250 for a all-purpose beverage license.
So that's
And
like
then
a
if you're
bar.
doing Bars Tavern, they pay the basic fee plus 200, so they're paying 500 for the actual.
Plus the
Plus
actual
their-
100 on top of that. Yeah, and you know, like being a business owner, I'm fine adjusting our fees. And I think, you know, like, you know, establishments that serve alcohol, you know, we get a lot of, we have to pay for a quart because there's a lot of.
They contribute to a lot of my time. So therefore,
They pay more money, they
justification.
pay more insurance,
Plus you have to pay state fees on top of that too, to be able to do the alcohol.
Well, yeah, and
but this is once a year. They're making,
it hasn't been updated in a long time. So,
I've been here
Mhm.
30 years and
yeah, so I
the
think,
fees have not been updated.
And I'm not against it.
I think we should not totally take an extended amount of time, but I mean, business licenses are due in July.
Correct. So we have time.
We have a
The
little bit of
dog
time to
licensing
do
is
it right.
January, so
Yeah.
we need to get the dog licensing done.
But we
That's
could-
all done first.
We could take a few meetings to really do this well, and that's what I would like to do.
I agree.
Okay.
So the basic fee is 50, but they charge banks a little bit more. They're 100. Contractors are only 50 though. Why are, interesting.
I guess define contractors.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking too.
So you would have to dig into the ordinances. There is a definition of contractors in that ordinance. So and then, you know, that you'd have to dig in there and find that. Like I said, this is just a fee schedule.
Yeah,
All the definitions are actually in the ordinance.
But it seems that West may be a good one to look at,
Yeah.
to, even if it just gives you ideas about.
They've changed this,
What?
so they've changed this. I've been in Montana 7 times that I can think of, and it might have changed a few
So
other
we
times.
might take a look at like Red Lodge or other communities that
The
are.
tourist, look at the tourist communities.
Yeah, that are applicable to
Um,
it's a short-term business license if you're just in town for one job.
Yeah, it's
Or
like a
if you're for
temporary.
3
Doesn't
months.
matter, the
I don't
But
think-
see, they're doing the same thing I'm saying. They're charging the basic fee, not this reduced fee.
right,
And that's.
That's, yeah, because our brick and mortar places,
Well,
they pay property taxes, whatever. If you just roll up on a trailer, like, that's not fair.
And
I
then
almost-
for a landowner to come in on 4th of July weekend, make a whole bunch of bank and leave, and they're even paying less than that, and they're taking business.
I wouldn't even be against raising their fee more than
That's
what
what
the
I'm thinking.
business
That's
fee.
what I was thinking too. If you come and set up, it should be like 150, a little bit more than what we pay.
Just, if we're using the 100 as a baseline, just for instance, the 150, another % up above it is not, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think they should pay,
Would
be
it
able to
deter
come in
people
and,
from coming and setting up
Yeah.
though?
They're-
Yeah,
do we want them?
Exactly.
They're coming here knowing that they have a good idea of what they're gonna make over the weekend.
Although, like, I guess, yeah,
And like
I
you
agree
said,
with that, I agree with that. The exposition thing though, I mean, I think those events like the Fly Fishing Festival, the Arts Festival, that does bring a lot of
Brewfest.
business. What's that?
Brewfest, because you have a bunch of different vendors here.
Yeah, Brewfest, no, but I'm just saying those events do bring business to town.
Which
too.
$25 seems reasonable. Because that's
Yeah.
$200-300 we make off all the vendors,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
no, I'm just saying that we don't want to, like, for the Little West Arts Association, I don't want
to run them off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Does that
Like, if
constitute
they're using that,
But are you considering
a non,
an event fee, or if the event coordinator doesn't pay it, then each vendor has to pay a small, or, you know.
So it's a business license fee or an event fee.
And I think we
You know,
create-
you can make the event fee so big that if they don't have that many people, where it doesn't work out, then they each have to get their individual license.
but even on like your events that you're talking about, if you set up an event fee thing, like the arts festival, we're not trying to drive, that's not the target we're going after for
No,
the,
and I get that. I just
so you
don't
would
want
set
it-
an event fee at that point in time.
Yeah.
And that would come in with the license or the variance or the
User agreement?
user agreement. So without that
okay.
money, and then you
Okay.
could set that up.
Okay, I just don't want to run off things like that, because
Yeah,
I
I
think those are
agree.
really great
And-
community
And we
events.
can set
So
that
if you
in
go to-
here
If you go
for
to Town of
events.
West Yellowstone and pull up their fee schedule for that, it links the ordinance and they actually write their business license application packet. There's a hard copy of their ordinances right in here too. So read them. I like how these are written. They're pretty simple. They're pretty straightforward. You know, like I said, it defines everything in here. That needs to be done, what it takes to revoke a permit. Right now, it's just, all we have to do is get the mayor's permission to revoke a business license. You know, whatever you guys want to do with that, but I would suggest just looking at theirs too. It's pretty, and it's only what, 10 pages, 11 pages?
20.
Oh, it's 20 because they have a permit.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, it's actually not a lot of, it's not overly wordy.
And we can pick and choose what we would want to
Yeah.
pull out of it. Because we've got some good stuff in ours, but there's some things that we could,
Elaborate on.
so there's some couple things that we need to think about, how we want to do our licensing, if we want to go with that model that they have. Yeah, category, thank
We're
you.
all kind of on the same page with that.
Yeah,
We all agree that.
because then we can, one of the categories.
You could tax the VRBO, you
Yeah.
could tax the stuff you want.
And that's
to tax.
another thing is the short-term rentals, just in general, how we want to attack that.
And then keep in mind how you would define short-term rentals. Is it stays less than 30 days, less than 60
I
days?
would say, yeah, less than 32 days.
Okay, yeah, and but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We gotta
Just
really,
Start
yeah.
thinking
And
about
I
that.
think we
need to be
need to
specific.
we also need to license, and maybe for less, but for long-term rentals. And I would really encourage us to consider having them go through the same inspection process with the county sanitarian.
So long-term as well, okay.
And
If I don't write this down, I'll forget, sorry.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
get a bullet point so we know where to.
So I've got long-term rental,
Makes sense.
short-term rental, category style on the licensing. And then the entire section. So we'll go over that. And then is Yellowstone the one we want to study? And take a peek out?
I wouldn't,
Yeah,
I
I think
wouldn't
we
do
should look at
something.
other ones, yeah.
Yeah.
But I would look at, like, in my opinion, I wouldn't like do Bozeman's or anything. I would look at yeah, I would look at the tourist community.
And the one reason I wanted to pick a specific one is so we're all looking and talking about the same thing. Instead of you're looking at Gardner, you're looking at Red Lodge, he's looking at West Yellowstone. Let's kind of focus in on West Yellowstone's a little bit. It's fine to look at the other ones, but all of us, let's take the time and look at the West Yellowstone so we're all talking about the same thing. And then as you're seeing other things in other ones, then we can reference those and bring them in. That way we're not talking about 10 different things. And if you see, because I know you're big on that one, if you see something specific that's in another one, drag that along with you so we can take a peek at it, because
Yeah, we don't need to reinvent the wheel.
yeah. But we have to do this VRBO thing.
So do we have to do 2 meetings?
We need to do another work session
Work
before we,
session Stuff, get it all figured out first and then do the.
it might take more than one
Yeah.
work
Well, we can
session.
do our public hearings for the dogs and cats.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I think we should do a couple of work sessions, at least one more work session.
I agree. And if we need to, that's fine. Let's take the time and do it.
I think you're gonna need two, because by the time we go through another one, then it's gonna go in to be written.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you want to look at.
And then you're gonna want another work session just to look at it and clean it up.
Okay.
Regardless, let's just take the time. We have the time. Let's take the time and get it right. Whether we all, that's not what we want to do, but let's get it right, make sure we have it, so we don't have to do this next year again.
But keep moving on this, because you're gonna be going into your zoning, and then
Yeah.
that's,
And that is just a side note on that, talking with, I did meet with Alex on Wednesday.
How was that?
It was good.
Okay.
It was really good. It's like, this is really gonna be like following the whale. Like, cause he had some recommendations for us, cause right now our zoning map that John pulled up, it encompasses much larger than the town limits. And that he was like, that's a problem because we haven't been administering it. And so that can put us in, so we may want to pare it back, but then we could do like what Red Lodge did, and they, because you can administer more than your boundaries to a certain degree, depending on how big you are, but maybe we could focus on just our entrance corridors and not, stuff that's in Skyview and Indian Ridge and all that kind of stuff. Is just to focus on those entrance corridors, which correlates back to, I know you've seen it, there was a study, was it Superhost or Secret Shopper study done in like 2009, 2011, where they had people come in and it was an economic development thing and come in and like rate our town. And one of our things that we got dinged on was our entrance corridor.
Yes.
And I've done the secret shopper in other communities.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
So, yeah, so you,
It's interesting.
yeah, so it is, so do you have that, do we have that report somewhere, Ginger?
I don't think we ever got it.
I have a copy, but it was like down in my sewing room.
Boy, I don't remember it. Lisa. I mean, I remember when it was happening and
Was that through the Department of Commerce? But anyway, I think that is something that we can do, but, we
Yeah, who that
may,
was from.
and talking with, Alex is willing to help us because of our interlocal, which probably needs to be updated, because it was last time was in 2009, but we're within the parameters. And, so we're within the, parameters for them to help us. He pulled it up, he's like, let's just make sure that we're following, that we're making sure that we're okay, and he is willing to help us, so. So there's, so buckle in.
That's through the
Lots
huge
of-
area, that's the golf course.
Yeah, it's a, because I think we're up to a mile, which, gets way into other stuff where I don't think it needs to be that. And he doesn't think it needs to
What
be
we
that.
probably should have been doing is annexing all these places in.
But then he talked about that. It was just like one conversation led to another conversation, and I'm like,
Yeah.
because honestly, the map that he has does not have our current town boundaries. It doesn't have the grocery store. So I don't know where those annexations.
So GIS just hasn't updated the mapping with the grocery store. So they only do it like they only do the push to put it on the public maps once a year. It is on the
Yeah.
update map that the deputies and I have access to with all the current addresses.
Okay, I wonder why he didn't have that, because it didn't have the bowling alley in there. which is
Yeah,
better.
ours has all that on it.
Okay, so maybe, could you send?
I can't send it because it's an online version that I look at.
Or not, or maybe
Yeah,
I
you have to
can.
do a Tommy to get that. That's.
Can you send it to Alex?
But
though?
Alex is Tommy's boss, so I'm wondering why.
Tommy's the one who administers it. So
But can you send a copy of what you have to Alex so he can see what we have?
Oh, it's an online thing. Maybe we can just say,
you just tell me with Tommy and
okay,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of going out GIS, because that's all it is we're just accessing the live data from Tommy's computer, basically.
yeah, I know, but I don't know if Tom, has Tommy's computer been, or anytime we get an annexation, does it go to him, so he knows to.
Yeah, because he has to address it and everything. He does all the 911 coding and everything. So that's why his is the most up to date, because it's the 911 mapping that we're using.
But does it include the grocery store? Because that's been more than a year.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, grocery stores on my map.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what the dispatchers use when they send, whether they send me or the county deputy to calls right on the edge of town and everything. So, yes.
So just since this was a revenue meeting, I was just wondering if we want to start thinking about talking about the resort tax.
it wasn't on the
No.
agenda.
I'll kill that sucker. I don't want you to hear it.
But Jason, yeah, we didn't list it, even though it's a work session, we didn't list it as.
No, I don't want to talk about it right now. Just, can we put it on an agenda? Do we want to put it on the agenda?
Maybe let's get through the business licenses first, and then maybe, so here's my thought, is since the master plan
Go ahead.
is part of, is to be a community-driven process, we can see what the community wants. And if there are things that are identified, then we say, how do we pay for these?
And then you put it back on them instead of us pushing it out
You know,
on them.
Because that,
This
there's
is
that
a-
downtown business committee that wanted a bunch of things and then they sold out. You know, you can say, okay, well, you want, you know, the Lions Club bathroom to be open year round. How are we gonna pay for that? You can do property, you know, you can give them choices and then let them move forward.
Yeah, this gives, raising all these fees really only gets us like a couple $10,000
Get that.
a year, and that's really nothing. We want to make,
But you guys are, you know, I mean, you're getting the upgrades started. I don't think you want to do overkill.
You're not gonna flip a switch and make it better.
Yeah.
It's gonna be one of those.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
a
but I think
gradual
it's gonna take
climb.
a year or so to get planned and ready to even introduce it. That's,
And that's what I think happened last time. I think, like Brian said, it was more of a public relation.
Uh-huh.
It was totally the public.
I was looking to see if I
They
have
identified
that.
what they wanted to spend the money on. So I think that way, going through the master plan, if there are.
showing what VC spent the money on and different places have and what we could potentially.
I'll see if I can find that
What
article and
they've
send
done,
that to
this
you
is
so
what
you can
we
see,
could.
Yeah, and if they.
Brian Vincent, our old commissioner, put out a great article on that in the Madisonian about some of the shortfalls with that whole thing.
Yeah, and so that's why I think the master plan is gonna be a key component in that, because, you know, the community is gonna come up with things that they want. It's just like, okay, how do you wanna pay for it?
I just thought, you know, we don't really need much more than a deficit or a unbalanced budget. You know, we don't make enough money, we spend way more money, how are we gonna make up that money? Oh, here, resort tax.
But you thought wait a second, you thought, just so you know, you thought the parklets were a big deal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
is what
will
we have
go
to do. We gotta
way
do it
over
right.
that.
Yeah.
Because you really love that idea or you really hate it. And there's a lot of people on both sides of this one. Ooh la la.
And I think what they did, and they did it just too late last time, was that they did have West Yellowstone come in. They did have other communities come in and say, hey, this is what we utilize the money for, but that was like,
Way after
They had already
everybody
burned
was
that
all-
bridge out
Yeah.
right after I started, and it was,
yeah,
it was a very contentious subject, and in my opinion, I agree with Brian on that one, is they said, we want this money, but nobody really said it.
What is
This
it
is
for?
what we're going to do with it, this is how it's gonna benefit you.
yeah. And I think it was always just the elephant in the room though. And so they were just like, oh, let's get this question answered as opposed to,
Mhm.
thinking it through. But I mean, it is a really big impact that our three of our closest communities all have it.
NBC.
Yeah, burn that-
Without
and
any
what-
bites.
Yeah, it's passed by what, like 96%?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that?
We would make more sense to have that than any of those, we have more resort-ish things
I
going
mean,
on.
Big Sky runs a surplus. They subsidize things like daycare, housing, all with that resort tax money. I mean, not that we would make that much off of it, but we could help.
We just need to get our poop and urban showers.
Yeah, there, I mean, because there could, that's something that, and part of the statute is that money goes back to the property, so you could lower property taxes.
Because we're making more.
Yeah, and then you could do great community things with that would really help our residents, our year-round, long-term residents. I mean, if we can help.
There's tons of infrastructure stuff that we just gotta get tons of ideas and reasons and whys and
So, yeah, so
your city attorney. All of that just needs the right PowerPoint
I
presentation.
know a lot of the places use it for housing too, which is a
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
one of the biggest issues we have in this town.
it's across the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
John, the time to go home.
We even need to, we didn't.
Oh, no.
We didn't open it. I was like, we never even opened it. That's why I said, do we need to open this or something? Are we on like recording?
Yeah,
We're
just a
just-
work session. Your pile that you need to sign is on the desk.
Oh, thanks, Cory. I have to have a babysitter moment, because when people call me to get a hold of you. Did you get my?
Yeah, I took care of it.
Okay,
He just needs to relax.
well, he does every single time, just so you know, that,
Tell him to call me. You're not my babysitter.
well, I try to say that, but.
Tell me, you just said it that way. I'm not
We
your
have a problem
babysitter.
with doing it on the right. We do it on guides, we do it on hotels, and we do it on restaurants. That's it. So, yeah, if you do it, it changes state law, so you can limit it now.
Yeah, you get, that's what Rick just wants to do. Food,
Lodging, and,
guide.
yeah, and guiding services. And that's the way to do it, in my opinion. And I think you could sell that.
That's the job.